Here we go. Hello, everybody. Good evening. We're a little bit late. Sorry. Basketball game went a little over. So, how is everybody? We got some people here. I didn't get to pre-schedule it before we left, so I'm just now getting it scheduled. Sorry. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And this is Hillbilly Crime. We've got Zelma, our sweet tater, with us.
Hello.
Hello. And how was your day?
Mine was great. I mean, we had 50-degree weather, I believe. It said it's going to be 50, but we still got snow. I was wanting it to melt all that snow.
Well, I reckon we're getting ready to get two more big snowstorms.
Oh, maybe they won't come. It's not going to snow tomorrow.
Well, we just keep saying that and hoping it won't come. All right, everybody. So we're going to have a little discussion tonight. I'm going to rewatch the hearing just for anybody who was not able to watch it earlier. Let me get it up here. And all right, so let's go ahead and watch it.
For Commonwealth of Kentucky, Sean versus Sean Mickey Steins. This is my first hearing on this matter. I was appointed to sit as judge in this the Chief Supreme Court. So I will be the sitting judge in Letcher Circuit Court till the conclusion of this matter. Also, the Honorable Courtney Shoemaker, who is the Circuit Court Clerk for Boyle County, is going to be the Special Circuit Court Clerk. For the record, the parties are present.
So let me stop at real quick. If anybody didn't hear that, he is going to be the trial judge. He will be the judge for the remainder of this case. And it sounded like he said the Boyle County Circuit Clerk will be the Special Circuit Clerk. I've never heard him do that before. That's pretty interesting.
That was new to me, too.
Yeah.
Now, is this from today?
Yeah, this was this morning.
Jackie Steele is the Commonwealth's attorney in this matter, and Jeremy and Carrie Bartley, I see, are both present.
Yes, Your Honor.
With their client. I wanted to set this first status hearing. I know we'll probably have a few of these just to kind of go through a few matters to make sure we're going to proceed efficiently during the pendency of this action. Mr. Steele, can you first give me kind of an update as far as proceeding with discovery and kind of what you think a reasonable timeline is for discovery completion on this case?
First, Judge, let me clarify. Ramsey Dallum with the Attorney General's office, also attorney handling the matter. She had a conflict with other scheduling issues today. I see Mr. Kokenaur, Attorney General's office on special prosecutions. Ramsey has really been taking care of the discovery. I know we have made discovery. I think 2 weeks ago we made another some more discovery, some issues. We still have some things coming in and things being tested. I would think within the next 4 to 6 months, all discovery and testing would be complete.
Okay. Mr. Kokenaur, you wish to input on that at all? Or anything you can update us on?
No, Your Honor. Jackie is correct. That sounds correct. And Ramsey, when she gets back next week, she's out of the state this week, but we'll have a better idea at that time.
All right.
Now, I wanted to stop this too because I wanted to read this to you guys. In the paper, it says that in the Red Rum case against Steins, prosecutors have turned over more than 2,400 pages of evidence. I don't think they said this in this hearing, but maybe they do, and I just missed it. But they turned over more than 2,400 pages of evidence, 329 audio files, 234 video files, and 11 photographs to the defense, as well as transcripts of the grand jury testimony, computer hard drive, and several spreadsheets. So that is what they have turned over to the defense in terms of discovery so far. And that's what they were just talking about.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
if I may, Your Honor, I also failed to mention Mr. Jim Cox, who is co-counsel with our office. He is appearing by Zoom as well, Your Honor. And if I may speak to discovery, they have provided a plethora of voluminous discovery. We're continuing to go through that. At this point, all of our discovery requests have been met. And at this point, there are no outstanding discovery issues that we're aware of.
So that means they've already got everything that they have asked the prosecutor for. I think that's what he's saying. And I also wanted to say, you guys pay attention to Mickey's demeanor in this video. I think that's going to be really telling, just seeing how he behaves sitting back there. See what his facial expressions are and stuff like that.
All right. And I encourage, like I said, Mr. Bartley, I know any request you have, please go ahead and make it, and they'll be happy, I'm sure, to provide that. If we do become, at any point in time, if there is an issue in regards to discovery, all y'all need to do is notify my office, and we can address that at any point in time the parties need.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Next, there's been an affidavit of indigency filed on behalf of Mr. Steins. Mr. Steele, have you had the opportunity to review that yet?
I have not, Your Honor. No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Bartley, if you don't mind, or I'll tell you what, if it's okay with you, I'll send Mr. Steele a copy of that for his review also.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Then I would ask that if we have any hearings relative to that judge, if we could do those in camera, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
and Mr. Steele, I'm going to have you take a look at it. I'll just kind of give you my inclination at this point in time, after reviewing the affidavit of indigency, due to the nature and complexity of this case. I do believe, after reviewing the affidavit of indigency, that Mr. Steins will qualify potentially for Chapter 31 funding. I'm going to ask, I'll send that to you, and you can copy special prosecutions on it. What I would ask is, after I send it to you all, if you all have any objection to that, if you will file that with the court within 10 days.
Does anybody know what that means? Chapter, what did he say, 31 funding? Is that what he said? Let me look it up. I'll Google it while we listen.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't think that will be an issue. Mr. Bartley, once we get that issue resolved, I will then proceed potentially with any request for Chapter 31 funding. And Mr. Steele, Mr. Kokenair, maybe you all can address this if you want. Obviously, the rules would require that you all be given notice of the request for any ex parte hearings. Without question, there I think will be some ex parte hearings potentially for Chapter 31 fundings. How do you all want Mr. Bartley to notify you all anytime that they are going to file for an ex parte hearing?
Your Honor, Mr. Bartley has both mine and Ramsey's email. We've emailed each other several times through the last several months. Email will be fine. He does not need to file those in certified records.
I appreciate that. That's always, the Chapter 31 process is of such that that first step, the notice requirement, I don't think needs to be formalized. So any point in time, Mr. Bartley, before we'll have a hearing on that, if you'll just notify Mr. Steele in regards to that, we'll address that at that point in time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Steele, Mr. Kokenair.
And then next, are we in a position to know if there's going to be a request for any type of evaluation?
Judge, I've spoken with my client. We have. Oh, my apologies, Judge. I thought you were speaking. So what we have spoken with Mr. Steele about is that we do believe that there will be an issue as to criminal responsibility. We have consulted with, folks with regards to that issue. I reached out to Mr. Steele and we basically decided that we would raise this as a joint motion. I know that, once we provide that notice, the Commonwealth is entitled to have their expert evaluate Mr. Steins. And out of expediency, I believe that Mr. Steele and I would ask for an order for that evaluation to go ahead and take place. There are a couple of issues I did want to address with regard to the examination. I don't think they will be at issue at all, but I did want to make a couple of notes. But that's how we intend to proceed, Your Honor, with the court's blessing.
All right. And in regards to what I generally would do, and I think that's probably the best course of action to go ahead and get that in the pipeline. It is going to require, what I would recommend is that we go ahead and get the order entered in regards to competency and criminal responsibility. I might as well go ahead and that address, since we're going to be doing that, versus we've seen it sometimes be piecemealed, and I don't want to delay the proceedings if we would have to go back and redo that. I know KCPC will initially do a video interview of him initially, and then we'll notify, which is now required by law, and then they will then notify the court if a inpatient evaluation would be required.
Your Honor, so and I understand the court's position, and certainly we do not raise the issue as to competency, but I understand the court and the expediency of going ahead and examining that. I understand that, but I did want to make clear that our notice only concerned the criminal responsibility, Your Honor.
Okay.
But the other issue that I wanted to make sure that we discussed was my understanding with the, I believe it's Sean's law, that made it more clear that our expert should be able to participate in the proceedings at KCPC. And I would ask that I'll go ahead and identify him as Dr. Eric Drogan.
Okay, I'm very familiar with Dr. Drogan.
We would ask that Dr. Drogan be allowed to participate pursuant to the statute. And then the second piece of that is, and generally I believe this is standard procedure, but I believe that normally KCPC gives both parties an opportunity to submit materials that they may want reviewed.
Sure.
We certainly would like to make sure that we have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, both sides will have. I know the more information the KCPC's provided, the more effective the evaluation will be.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Steele, what's your take on if we do just criminal responsibility, or if we go ahead and knock out competency and criminal responsibility?
I'm okay with the competency issue. This is taking a little bit of a turn from the discussion me and Mr. Barley had. I thought we was doing a competency evaluation. They always do the criminal responsibility behind it. But now he's saying that he wants his expert there during a criminal responsibility. I'm not comfortable doing a criminal responsibility if he's going to have an expert on that position, unless we know what the issues are they're raising in the criminal responsibility with our expert. So we're going to get in a position where our experts at KCPC or the court's experts at KCPC are on criminal responsibility, or we'll make a finding while their expert's present, and then he's going to go back and write his report. I don't want our or the court's KCPC evaluators doing an evaluation until they know what their position is, what their expert's position is. That way he's not interfering, but he's in an evaluation for criminal responsibility, and then he gets to go back and then address issues that he thought were not discussed properly during the KCPC responsibility issue. So I'm okay with getting the order in, but I think if there should be I think their expert, if they've already, conferred with him, he's already done an examination, needs to get that report in before the KCPC responsibility issue is done.
Yeah. So Judge, I don't think that the rules require preparation of a report before that examination. We are, again, we raise only the issue of criminal responsibility. I understand that it's expedient to raise both, but once we give notice, there's nothing that I see that requires us to produce a report before he's evaluated. And, I guess the reverse could be true that, if we have them evaluated, I mean, if we submit the report, then the inverse is true. Then they get the opportunity to see our position in advance and to evaluate it, in that light, Judge. So I'd ask that we go ahead and send him up there, have him evaluated. If there is something, once we both exchange reports, that in rebuttal they want to have reviewed by their expert, then I think certainly they can send them Dr. Drogon's report and have them examine it, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to take that under advisement. I am going to go ahead and get an order entered. We'll address the issue of the timing of the providing of the reports and who's present and when. I want to take a look at that Ms. Bartlett, I mean, for me, the distinct difference would be KCPC, while they're an employee of the Commonwealth, are not an agent of the Commonwealth. That is an independent evaluation versus Dr. Drogon, who would be a retained defense expert. So,
if I could, Your Honor, sure. And I don't mean to interrupt you, Judge. And I think that if this were a court, I mean, if we were only looking at the issue of competency, but I believe under 807, if we have our own expert and we're not asking them to serve as an independent, I mean, this is going to be the state's witness. I mean, KCPC will be their expert. And Mr. Still, do you disagree with that position or that piece of it?
Judge, if I may at this point in time, that's exactly going to my point. If he was indigent from the get-go and he had been found indigent and I understand the court may be looking at that issue, they're required to use state funds if available before coming to you for Chapter 31 funds. Also, they had funds available for them for an expert in criminal responsibility. That is their expert. They're not sending him for a criminal responsibility competency issue to be addressed for the court to have an understanding, for them to then say, okay, there's criminal responsibility issues. They have got an expert hired. They're putting the court and the Commonwealth in a position that they're going to allow criminal responsibility done. Well, they've already got an expert hired. And like the court said, they're not my expert. They are a function of the court, for the court to look at issues in regards to pretrial issues. So that's, again, just reemphasizes my position in regards to criminal responsibility, why their expert who's already hired should have a report filed before that goes forward.
All right. I'm going to take that issue under advisement. I'll take a look at that. I will either issue an order or I'll enter a briefing schedule in regards to that issue.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else you all want to address today?
Yes, Your Honor. We would ask that the court advise how you would like us to make our request for bond. We had discussed at the arraignment with the previous judge that we would do a formal bond hearing. Certainly, we were kind of in limbo until your appointment, Your Honor. So we certainly would ask the court to review it, but we would like the opportunity to address bond, Your Honor, and how, in whatever form the court would like for us to raise that issue.
I'm fine, but in regards to issue that, if you want to set a time for a formal motion on your bond, we can do that at any point in time.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. In terms of dates, is there any parameter in which you would like for us to file it?
If you all want, you can confer with the Commonwealth. If you want, just find some agreeable dates to both sides, and then we'll coordinate that with my office, and that'll be a hearing that will I will travel and do that in person.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. That's why I want to make sure that it was convenient for all the parties.
Absolutely. We'll work around that. And when we get a little bit more, we can probably tie it in, and also with the fact that if we need to have any arguments in regards to the evaluation process, we could probably couple that and kill two birds with one stone.
Yes, Your Honor. In the event that the court, there were a bond set that was makeable, then at that point we, may have to revisit whether there's a inpatient versus outpatient. But I understand, Your Honor, we'll file that motion and get with everyone to discuss a convenient hearing date, Your Honor.
Sure. Be glad to address bond at any point in time.
Did you hear that? Inpatient versus outpatient. Oh,
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else we need to address today?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Steele,
Nothing for the Commonwealth, Your Honor.
Mr. Kokenauer, anything from the AG's perspective?
No, Your Honor, nothing else. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate all the parties. I will then look for you all to.
okay. He just does a little bit of spiel there. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to pause it there so we can see Mickey. What do you guys think about how he, I think he looks normal. I don't think that he looks, what do you think, Mom?
I thought
Just
he
by
looked,
looking at him.
I thought he looked okay, but we never know. They might be giving him tranquilizers or something.
Yeah, you don't know, but yes,
I thought he looked good.
they at the very last hearing before the one that they had this morning, they were expecting that judge, that woman judge, to set him a bond. They were expecting it to be high, but they were I think everybody was expecting her to set a bond because she came out before the hearing and she released a statement that said she was very reluctant to ever give no bond to anybody for anything. And so but it was going to be high. But then whenever the hearing came, she changed her tune on that. And she said that she was just going to leave it as no bond and let that decision go to the trial judge, whoever the assigned judge was going to be. So they asked his lawyers, I think it was the wife, she asked at the end of that hearing, I think it was her, if they could revisit the bond later once the judge had been assigned, and they told him yeah. So that's what they're working towards. They're working towards a bond hearing, requesting a bond hearing, or at least that's what I think that they're working towards. So I think that we're going to see a bond request hearing. I don't know. I'm thinking that it's going to be after this evaluation, because they will want the evaluation to say that he's not a danger to the community. And because I think that's going to be a really big part of the bond hearing, whenever they do request one and get one. Miss Tracy McClellan, female attorney, shows several times she is pleased with the outcome today. Crystal, does anyone know why they aren't in court? They just did a Zoom hearing, because I would say that they're all in different areas. I don't think this judge that did the hearing this morning, I don't think he's in Leslie County. Did anybody hear which county he was from? I think where this was Central Time. Remember the hearing this morning? It was on Central Time. So I would say this judge is somewhere out of Western Kentucky, because it's a different time zone. Inpatient, outpatient. I thought he was talking about the evaluation, or I thought that's what he was talking about. What did you all think? Yeah,
I thought he was talking about the evaluation and whether it would be inpatient, meaning he'd be in the hospital.
Yep.
Or outpatient. That's what I thought they meant, but now I don't know.
That's what I thought they meant too. And of course, we don't know. Remember, we ain't no lawyers. But yes, they're in a shoebox. Listen, that's about the size of the cells. That is about the same size as a jail cell right there. You're looking at it. So that's what they are in 23 hours a day, unless they are working. And I don't even know if they do 23 hours a day in the mountains, because I know when we were in the old Harlan County jail, and even in the Letcher County jail, I was just there one night, but they didn't have no rec. They didn't take you out of the cell, but you weren't in there by yourself either. They had bigger cells where they had it was just one great big room, and everybody had to throw a bunch of mats on the ground. So I don't know, these smaller jails, they probably don't do that 23 hours a day and out 1 hour. They probably don't do that here. He requested videos instead of in court. Yeah, he requested a Zoom for that next hearing. Or well, maybe not the next one, but yeah, he was requesting Zoom because that's too much traveling for everybody.
Yeah. Well, the weather also, the snow and ice is so bad, has been so bad here.
Yeah.
So it was probably a good decision.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about bond, Mommy? I'm going to go grab Gregory's pizza out of the oven. Talk about bond.
Well, I don't see any reason why not to set him a bond. I don't think it has to be real high, too, except that it's for the show of it. I mean, he's not any threat to the community, and I don't think he's going to run off. He don't have any way to run off. I mean, if he was part of some sort of a thing that would finance him, but he isn't. So I don't see any reason why he can't
get a bond.
I don't, but now that's just me. I'm a liberal.
That's all right. You be whatever you want to be, Mommy. Ashley, look for a bond request next week. Let's see.
I think that'll be about right, too.
Mickey looks calm, but his mind must be spinning. I hate it. I hate this entire thing. I did have somebody reach out to me, and she gave me her experience that she had with the rehab. She had gotten in trouble, but I'm going to read her account, and we're just going to keep her anonymous. But let me pull it up here. Okay. She had, let me get to the beginning here. This was her experience. And she lives in Letcher County, lived in Letcher County. But some people choose to move away from here because of
it's understandable.
Yeah, I don't even have to go in any further. Okay, so this was her experience with allegedly with the judge and with the preacher, Michael Clark, who was the ARC Rehab go between. He was the one who would get everybody their beds, and he's also the one that came out with the video right after this happened, saying that he was best friends with the judge and he was best friends with Mickey.
He took it down real quick.
Yes, he took it down. He deleted it almost immediately.
What was his official role or title?
You got me.
Did he get a salary?
Oh yeah. They bragged really big that he already owned his own home and everything. How do you get a job 1 year? I mean, I don't even know how many years he worked there, like maybe 5 or a lot more, maybe more. I don't know. But I mean, I know it usually takes people a lot longer than 5 or 7 or 8 years to pay for a nice big home. And, but
20 or 30.
Right. So how can somebody who's been in prison all their adult life, they get out?
Was he in prison was he the one that was in prison? I tried to figure that out, and then I saw someplace it was somebody else and wasn't him.
No, there was 2. There are 2 Michael Clarks, and a bunch of people on TikTok got on there and was throwing it up that he had sex abuse charges, but that wasn't him. That's not the same Michael Clark. The Michael Clark that we're talking about, I'm pretty sure all he had were rug trafficking charges.
Okay, all right.
But
he got convicted and become a preacher, huh?
Well, and then the governor gave him a complete pardon. Governor Bevin, because of the ARC, his association with ARC. And he did, you give him a microphone and he's a good used car salesman. He can schmooze anybody. Okay, so let me read this. So this lady went to ARC, which she really had a good experience at the rehab, she said. But the things that were asked of her when she got home wasn't too cool. She didn't accept the things that were asked of her, and she ended up going to jail. Okay. So she was indicted over a DUI. She was sentenced to 1 year house arrest and 5 years probation. And then let's see.
Well, how did she get to rehab?
Well, she had went to court, and so they have sent her to rehab through the district court. Let's see. She served some days and got released with a 5 year probation. Let's see. I got to just make sure I don't give out too much information here.
Okay.
All right. So let me see. Let me go down here.
Well, maybe I could just ask you some questions.
So she saw, well, I'm going to read this. So she saw the judge and Michael Clark at one of the gas station, or at the gas station here in Jenkins, right after she got home from rehab. And let's see, ARC has a monthly convocation at Christ Temple in Huntington, West Virginia, to recognize clients that completed rehab and the peer support specialist program. And Kevin and Michael asked, allegedly, if she wanted to go with them, because apparently that's where they were going together. She said that the judge asked her if she knew how long of a trip it would be to Huntington, because he was going to be the guest speaker. And she told him it was about a 3-hour drive. And he said, well, if you go with us, it will take at least 8 hours. Of course, she didn't accept the invitation. She said it scared her. A few weeks later, she was indicted and sent up to Jimmy Craft's court, which is the upstairs court. She completed rehab, and she was supposed to get the felony diversion when she came home. But everything that the judge, Mullins, had told her she was going to get, none of it happened. So now she's a felon with 10 years supervised probation. After probation, Michael Clark allegedly had put on Facebook he was looking for donations and for some men's clothing to take to the rehabs. And she ended up, she was going to give it to him, and he ended up not taking it. But he came out to her house, but he ended up not taking the clothes. She said she really looked up to Michael Clark while she was at the rehab because he always preached at several churches. And she just really thought she got pulled into that big show, allegedly.
People usually respect preachers.
Yeah. And she said, but when she got home, she really saw what kind of person he was. And she said that he was a very disgusting person. She said that while she was on house arrest, Ben Fields also allegedly offered her to meet him in the judge's chambers one evening when she was to meet in the district courtroom for her weekly payment. I only had half my payment, but I declined and paid him in full the next week. She said allegedly Kevin stopped her in the lobby the very next week and asked her the very same thing. It was really getting creepy, but thank goodness I made it through it.
Well, what did she mean that he asked her the very same thing?
Well, apparently she's saying that the judge allegedly asked her if she wanted to go in the judge's chambers.
Okay.
That's what she's saying. That's what I hear when I read that.
Okay.
And, you know, I've said so many times that we didn't have anybody that was willing to come out and say, this happened to me. All we've heard so far are people who say, I heard this happen to somebody else. I've heard this has happened to somebody else. But we didn't have anybody that was willing to come out and say, this happened to me. Well, she's still not willing to come out and say this happened to me. She has been, she's been trying for a long time to get her probation kind of worked out and worked on. And apparently they have had no reply for like, I think she said 2 years or something like that. They've been sending emails for a long time. She might not have said 2 years, but I thought she said 2 years. But it was a long time that they had been trying to send emails to the probation department here, just to get some kind of communication going with them to fix her on her probation, and they can't get a reply, period. So, you know, she's in a really bad place. She's still on probation. She's afraid that she'd go back to jail and she'd go to prison. That's a 10-year. That's felony. That's prison.
Well, that's sad that we treat people that way.
It is. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. And, you know, if we've got these instances, if we've got these stories, then, you know, if they did a real investigation, they would be able to find this stuff.
Well, all they have to do is look at the people that, you know what I'm saying, that were on house arrest. And I don't think there's that many of them that went to that rehabilitation center through that court. Or at least they didn't have very good success with the rehabs. So, I mean, what would they interview? Maybe 100 people?
Well, you had a whole bunch that went through rehab, but you know, these are what, a 30-day rehab? I don't know. They probably court order them to longer than that. If they need it, I'm sure that they have court ordered rehab that's longer than 30 days. But I would say that that's probably the typical length would be a 30-day rehab. But I don't know that for sure, of course.
That'd be interesting to know how many cases they actually put in rehab.
And how many were successful? Like how many successful transitions, I guess, is the right word to say. I don't know. Looks like Mickey may be the financial fall guy for all the shenanigans those at the courthouse was doing. I can see it bankrupting him, which in turn harms his family financially. Why do you keep saying indigent? Well, that ain't that's what they were saying in the hearing.
What word was indigent was used where? I don't remember.
Well, they said that he no longer has his job now. So,
oh yeah, and he's indigent, so that qualifies him to get a free prosecutor or a free something.
Well, you know,
just means he's poor.
The public defender is what's usually assigned
but maybe
to people who qualify for a public defender. I am not familiar with the 31 funding at all. I've never even heard of it before, so I have no idea what it is. My dog
31 funding, we say?
Yeah, it says Kentucky Revised Statute. I pulled it up on my phone and looked at it, but there's so many different ones. Like, there's just a ton of different pieces to it. So you've got...
Okay, here's what this says.
Okay, go ahead.
Chapter 31 funding is a program that helps veterans and service members with service-connected disability find employment, receive education, and lend. Well, that's not it. What else?
There's a whole bunch of little pieces to it. It's got Department of Public Advocacy, establishment functions, independent agency. Then it's got the Public Advocacy Commission, public advocate qualifications, selection, term, salary, and staff. And see, I don't think that's what these parts that I'm seeing, I don't see where it would apply to Mickey's case.
Well, he could be classed as disabled.
Well, I was wondering because it also said something in there about like if you had been a veteran or something like that. Would that apply to a member of law enforcement?
That's what I was thinking, service.
Because I don't think he's a veteran, but no, I don't know.
But it wouldn't apply there, I don't think. It's a substance allowance.
The acceptance of fees by public advocacy attorneys, prohibited exceptions. But see, they're not public defenders. So that's why I'm just so confused about it.
Well, he doesn't have a job.
Right.
So they're trying to get him some money.
Yeah.
And that has.
But my question is, if they were going to give him a public defender, if he's going to qualify for a public defender, wouldn't that change his lawyer? Apparently not, because they're not getting rid of these guys. It looks like they're going to be the ones that accept the funding. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of confused.
These women came forward. Who's going to have their backs? Nobody, Twitchy Bear. I can tell you now, nobody. I mean, people like us would, but I'm a nobody. I am an absolute nobody. Nobody cares what I think. The judge and these people must have been in big, sinister stuff. Well, that woman also said something about one of these other cops around here was asking her to show him, allegedly was asking her to show him her boobs.
Yeah. They wanted a boob shot.
People are afraid to speak out. Powers that be are still in charge. Yeah. That's right. And allegedly, Lisa, Mickey isn't going to throw anybody under the bus, because if he does, he knows what will happen to him. He's going to keep all those secrets. And, if you had to keep a bunch of secrets like that, that might drive you a little nutty. Especially if they were somebody else's secrets and they weren't even yours. Maybe that's part of why Mickey lost it. Maybe it also has to do with the daughter. Well, somebody that I know that lives close to them, to where Mickey and them lived, and she's pretty close with people around in the family and neighbors and stuff. And she said that that Mickey's wife has said that this thing with the daughter is absolutely not a thing. Now, that's coming through a couple people, but I've heard it over and over and over again that the wife and daughter, Mickey's wife and daughter, have said that part of that rumor is not true. And they keep going back to mental illness is real. That exact quote has been said by so many people related to the family. Mental illness is real. That's the quote. And I've heard it over and over and over again since this has happened. And I said it a long time ago when this first happened. The most tragic scenario of all would be if this was just a mental health crisis and he did it for really no reason. That, to me, and that's just my opinion, but to me, that would be the most tragic, I think, of all. Because there would be no, of course, we know there's a ton of corruption here, and we know that there's a ton of improper behavior, misconduct, official misconduct.
What do you want? You want to go back outside?
I still think Mickey is protecting someone, or things will come out during trial, is why they are keeping information under wraps to pursue jurors of an acceptable reason. I'm not convinced it's going to go to trial. He's already lost everything. Maybe he wants to do something right if he can. It's just so sad. No job plus lawsuit equals broke. Yeah. He doesn't have any incoming. He doesn't have anything coming in the form of income moving forward at all. And, if you're anything like most of us, we probably do spend, very few people save. Most of us spend everything we get. Very few of us save. Sounds like Mickey has turned in a lot of evidence to his attorneys. Well, Miss Glenda, I think that all came from the prosecutor. That's where the discovery comes from. The prosecution puts together all of their like they put in the subpoenas and stuff for like phone records and all this stuff, and they get all of this discovery, and then they have to hand it over to the defense. So the court of law, they don't let you surprise, which, remember, I'm no lawyer, so I'm not giving no legal advice, but from what I have seen, my understanding is they don't let one side blindside the other side with anything. Like, if they're going to be bringing something out, they have to have it like approved. It has to be, kind of put out there. And
well, when I read that he's turned in a lot of evidence to his attorney, I was thinking more in terms of what him and his attorney talked about. So I think those lawyers know more from what he said that they don't write down,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's talked to his lawyers for sure, definitely.
And then that keeps the other side hopping because Mickey's the only one that knows anything.
And if the prosecution comes up with anything at all that is in Mickey's favor, like if they came out with some evidence that was in Mickey's favor, they have to turn that over too.
They sure do. Or that's what they do in the. I mean,
I'm no movies, ain't it?
Well, yeah, in movies, that's what they do. I like them movies too.
Imagine this evil guy being your friend, not knowing his dark side, and he was around your kid.
Well, we don't know that he was around the kid.
No,
we ought not taint that girl's name. I don't want to taint her name.
No, and she's a really, really good kid, I think.
And she's very young and very pretty, and
yeah, and she's very smart. She's a Rogers scholar.
And they only pick the best.
Yeah, and I'm sure being Sheriff Mickey Stein's daughter didn't hurt none.
Well, that's not why she was picked as a Rogers scholar. Her mom, she comes from both sides of her family not having a degree. And then she's like the top in her classes.
Well, that's wonderful. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
It's a special award. I mean, I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Good to know, Zelmy. Good to know. Well, she
gets a free college education out of it.
Oh, does she?
Yep.
Well, that's great. Hard to believe he's indigent as a 2 property owner. Well, he said that his property in Tennessee was still owed for at the bank, so it wasn't paid for. Sounds like a lot has been on his mind for a while, then something pushed him to the edge. In my opinion, what set him off was he knows what's been going on, and he knew he would be taking the fall alone. He couldn't handle that. Allegedly, Lisa, I kind of tend to kind of fall in line with that thought process too. I mean, we don't know yet, but it does kind of make sense. So do we know if it's true his wife made him leave home the night before? I heard it was longer than that. So what's starting to come out now, I've heard from several different sources that he had been not living at home for a little while, like maybe even up to a month before this happened. I've heard 3 weeks. I've heard a month. So around that time period. So I don't know what was going on. I didn't even know that was even going on. But apparently it was. 2 things I keep thinking about. 1, his wife kicked him out of the house. 2, Mickey asked, I think it was the judge, have you been talking to the FBI about me? That's the first time I've heard that one, Ms. Brown.
I hadn't heard that either.
If he fills out the indigent form and they catch him falsifying, yeah, that he won't falsify any of that. I don't think. I think he'll probably. Yeah, I just don't think that Mickey is that kind of dishonest. You know, he's more of a good old boy, pretty straightforward, person.
He treated me real nice when he came, and my doggie, it was in the summer, and she locked herself in the car, and I only had one key, and it was in there too, in the ignition. And so she locked the door, and so he had to come and open the door so I could get my doggie out. She was getting hot. And he was really sweet.
Yeah.
He wasn't a bit cranky with me or anything like that.
I just think it's tragic. It's all just so tragic. When you ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing to lose. That's exactly right. You ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing to lose. I'm coming in late, wanting to say hi to Hillbilly Crime and Miss Sweet Tater. And all people here. Well, hello.
Well, howdy, neighbor. You just come on down to Minnie Pearl's house.
That's right. Sweet Tater is this generation's Minnie Pearl. I believe this is way bigger than just being upset that his wife kicked him out or someone talking to the big guys.
I think he was too.
I think they are public defenders. I don't think they are. But we'll find out how it goes. Tell the story. It needs to be told and revealed. Yeah, let's see. Mickey was not worried about KSP. He was worried about the feds. So think federal ARC.
The ARC was federal.
True. That's true. I don't think any of them was worried about KSP. I think they all had their thumb on KSP. Or at least they had enough connections within that department to know if an investigation was coming around. Your commenting is informative. Well, thank you. 1,000 milligram. Good evening. Oh, that was 1,000 milligram vitamin C. I'm sorry. I got you.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Lisa said he's on boob patrol. Oh, now you got me singing Paw Patrol. D.E. Wright was born and raised in Letcher County, Whitesburg. Yep. Corruption was 5. Not really sure what that means. My neighbor was telling me he wanted to get off the meth, but he just couldn't give it up because of, I guess.
The sex drive, I guess. I like that, the math, MATH. I want to get off of that math too. I've been teaching math for about 70 years. Well, not that much. I didn't start when I was 8.
Oh, you've been teaching it 60 years anyway, ain't you?
I probably have that math, but it gets to you.
Tracy says, Elizabeth, I have the same degree as you from EKU. Well, good. Congratulations. You know why things went the way it did today.
No, please tell.
Yeah, let me get down here and see. Oh, is supposed to persuade jurors. I'm not sure I quite understand what you mean. Let's see. Because the questions the first time in court showed he knew more when he questioned the KSP investigator. She's talking about that lawyer, I think. Yeah. In that hearing, he was asking questions that only he would have the information for if it came from Mickey. I have a feeling they'll never let us see a toxicology report on the judge, but it makes you wonder what yeah. Well, and I still say they should have had a toxicology report on Mickey, but they didn't. From what I've been told, they did not take him for a test. They took him straight to the jail.
That ought to be a standard procedure that they do in things like that, in serious crimes or and violent crimes or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Twitchy Bear, I own multiple properties, but I wouldn't be able to afford this defense. And then Cat Scratch Fever says one property is a lake house on Cherokee Lake down in Tennessee.
Well, those might cost a little bit of money, but most of them are like trailers more. They're not like lake houses, that the rich have.
Yeah, some people have campers down there, little RVs on the lake.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that. Absolutely. I noticed Mickey kind of rocking back and forth while sitting there. Yeah, I thought I saw him doing that at the very beginning of it. And then he kind of stopped. Or at least I didn't pay attention to him doing it throughout the rest of it. Self-soothing, absolutely. Now, is it a pension and Social Security? They just did something in Congress. Well, I'm not sure.
I couldn't find out what that was.
All right.
It wasn't straightforward. It had too many channels.
Cat Scratch Fever. I heard he owned the house arrest equipment. I heard that too. I've heard a couple different things about that, and it's never really been very clear. If Mickey owned it or if the company owned it, because I was kind of confused about the Patty lady. I didn't get the impression that they were saying that Patty lived in Letcher County. I got the impression that Patty lived somewhere else, and she was the person that saw the monitor. Like if somebody was outside of their house and, maybe it would trigger and show that they weren't at home where they were supposed to be. That was the impression that I got about that. Let me know if you felt.
Now, who's Patty?
Patty was Ben Fields. She was the lady that monitored the house arrest ankle monitors. She was somewhere else and she monitored the system. And then if she had somebody violate or whatever, she would contact Ben and let Ben know. And then Ben would have to go out and handle it however they handled it. Or take it to the court or whatever. But I got the impression that this Patty lady was not a Letcher County resident. Wherever the ankle monitor system came from is the impression that I got. But I could be completely wrong.
Well, she was probably just an employee of somebody, wasn't she?
Well, that was kind of where I was a little confused. I was kind of taking it in as she was maybe owner of it. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. So it doesn't help us to speculate.
Yeah, we need to know who owned that monitoring system.
When it first come out, allegedly the judge would go to schoolhouse and pick a daughter up. When it first came out, allegedly the judge would go to schoolhouse. I'm sure he went and picked up his daughters. The judge had 2 daughters himself, that were a little younger than Mickey's daughter. They were like my kids' ages, middle school. I think the sheriff found out about something concerning the wife or daughter. People are capable of doing things. We just can't believe they would. Well, we'll end up finding out eventually, I think. At least that's what we're trying to do. I think he's here.
I try to stay away from his wife and daughter because there's no evidence there, and because they both have said that. And so, sometimes I think it in my mind, but I try to keep myself not thinking that because, I don't want to victimize them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm kind of, if it came out, like it's so far out of my head when it comes to his wife or daughter, if it came out at the end of this that it really was about that, I would, you could blow me over with a feather. I would be that shocked because there's just been so much denial, that is absolutely not true. And that kind of came from like a rumor mill that ran around as soon as this happened. I think it came from like the phone call in the judge's office where they were calling her. I wonder where he'd been couch surfing. I heard he had been staying with a family member of his.
There was another one on there I wanted you to read.
I remember Minnie Pearl. She could yodel.
Yodelay, yodelay, oh, yodelay.
There you go, y'all. There's your little yodeling. Hillbilly style. When did Mickey start living in Neon? He's lived in McRoberts for as long as I know. And McRoberts is kind of a little area of Neon.
It's on up another holler.
Yeah. Another holler. That's right.
It's the truth too. That's all it is a holler. It goes up there dead ends. You can take a 4-wheeler across the mountain or something. There's some roads across, but it just goes up there and that's the end of it. Yeah. It was a coal mining town. It was built. There wasn't any people living there before they went up there and mined coal.
They used to even have like a little hospital or something up in there because there was a ton of people I know was born in McRoberts.
Well, I don't remember no hospital in McRoberts.
Could there have been a clinic or something?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Back in the early 1900s.
They had a school, is all I know, and they used it for a long time with part of the early on ones.
Now, I know Jenkins had a hospital.
Well, Jenkins Hospital is there where Apple Shop's going to go up on the hill. Or at least they've bought that building.
Well, they used to have a hospital down here next to, or like behind Boggs Pharmacy, like across from where the Hardee's is. They've been tearing it down.
Well, yeah, that's where they had a real hospital there not long ago.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of doctors' offices there now. I guess ARH probably owns it.
They've got a really good little, he ain't little, but there's a really tall doctor man that works in there. I don't know his name, but I just think he is wonderful. John, I think is his first name, But he is such a great kid doctor. I took a ball player who needed his physical done. I took him down there to get his physical, and he wasn't my kid. He was somebody else's kid, but he needed a ride, so I took him down there. And I could not tell you how much I like that guy. That doctor is something.
Please congrats on what job situation?
I got my job back.
Okay. Now, here's a good one.
Oh, okay. Chapter 31. Go ahead and read it, Mommy.
Chapter 31 is the payment of investigative expert or other services necessary for an adequate defense.
So that doesn't have anything to do with paying his defense attorneys.
No.
If I'm reading that right, because that's kind of what I was confused about. They were talking about hiring the mental health expert and stuff. And so I bet you that's what that funding is to pay for.
Yeah.
It's for his experts.
Yep. Investigative.
Because that has to be approved by the court. So I bet that's what that's paying for. That's probably not to pay his defense attorneys for his defense. It's for the expert. Thank you, Julie Cook. Thank you, honey.
I appreciated it too.
Yes. In my state, if you are retiring from a state position or county, the wife has to sign the retirement papers. Interesting.
I think so too. That's sort of going overboard.
Mm-hmm. Scorpio Girl 53 says his attorneys are not public defenders, but they are personal injury attorneys, completely different kind of law, civil versus criminal. Yeah, I think that I'm wanting to say that the last court date that they had, somebody said that this was their first. Is this their first red rum case? But my brain is wanting to say no, it was their second. So I don't know. This was either their first or the second red rum case that they had done, because they're normally personal injury attorneys. But you know what that means? That means that they are good deal makers. They are good negotiators. And I bet you I've not heard anything bad about these two. I have heard nothing but wonderful. Everybody sings their praises so far. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes, please hit that like button. It won't bite. And if you're not subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Hit that subscribe button for us. It helps us more than you know. Yep, policy should be mugshot, fingerprints, toxicology.
Anytime there's a murder, the victim as well as the perpetrator. I shouldn't have said that word. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
It was not said in the context. It was said in the context of.
That's okay. It ain't gonna hurt us.
I'm sorry. Well, anyway, it should be automatic.
Yes, I think so too. I think I am to bear is exactly right. I think that should be like a policy. Policy should be mugshot, fingerprints, toxicology. I agree with that completely. I heard he was seeing the girl in his office. The same one gave her phone to the KSP. That's the first time I've heard that.
I haven't heard that either.
Yeah. But, I just read you what all that they've got in the discovery. Let me read it back again. Let me see if I've got it here. I don't remember. Oh yeah, here it is. I think this is it. Let me see.
But he would have worked with that woman every day.
Well, yeah.
And when you see somebody all the time, you get kind of close to them.
Well, now that's how affairs happen all the time at the workplace.
Well, I didn't mean that. I just mean even if that wouldn't have happened, it would have they still would have been close.
Close. Right. Well, that was what I was getting ready to say. You end up, how many times have I heard people say, oh, well, that's my work husband, or that's my work wife. You end up, you spend so much time at work. A lot of people end up spending more time at work and with their coworkers than they do at home. And I can tell you, since Mickey got that job, I had never seen him, not the first time, out of his uniform. He worked a lot.
And I never got the idea that he was a friendly person. I mean, he was charming and just wonderful. And, he made you want to pat him on the back or give him a hug or something.
But he wasn't flirty.
He wasn't flirty at all. And I don't think he partied hardy I never thought he looked like he'd been drunk.
I don't
think anything
so.
Off about him as far as I could tell in terms of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't either. It would
shock me if he was a dirty old man.
Yeah, it would me too. I don't think that was in Mickey's character to be a dirty old man.
I don't think it is either.
Earlier on, I gave a reason. I think they are trying to lower charges by him mentally evaluated. I agree with that.
So too.
I think they want that manslaughter. They want that. And I don't know how that works. I don't know how they include, I don't know if they include lesser, what does that say? How is that said? Lesser included or something like that.
You got to get them law books out and practice upon these words.
Well, I sure put a ton of work and effort and years into my education, and it really didn't do me much good.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that one bit. Sometimes you don't see how things benefit you. They may not be directly, they're indirectly. And sometimes you might look back on it in 10 more years and think, Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. See, pension would be from the sheriff's office. He wouldn't be eligible for Social Security until he's 67.
Yeah, we got this figured out about the money stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, thank you, Beach Bum. Love this channel. Oh, Julie Cook. That was great, Sweet Tater. They're talking about your yodeling.
Well, I could practice up and I might could do it again sometime.
That was on the fly, wasn't it, Mommy?
Yeah, that was on the fly.
Patty Stockham was deposed but hired lawyer before he dropped her after the pew. So that must be the Patty lady that they're talking about in the case. Ben Fields' Patty. Allegedly, Lisa, why did you stop yodeling, Mama?
Well, he didn't pay very well.
Some people in the Ozarks were born at home.
Yeah, lots of people were. I was born at home. And I think people from Kentucky must have went out to them Ozarks. We're so much like them.
Kay Kraft says one was in Seco. She was born there.
Oh, they had a hospital down there?
In Seco. I thought that they had little hospitals way back in those days. They kind of had little, because think about it. They lived with the old road.
The coal mines, that was one of the attractive features. So the coal mines often would build a hospital and they would bring doctors in and stuff like that.
Cinnamon Hot says my dog started yodeling along.
Well, that dog just loves me. I love doggies.
Seco had a hospital. Yep, my grandfather was in Seco. How much do they want? I don't know. You all are funny. I'm learning all kinds of stuff from you all. Well, good. Good. Oh, D.E. Wright says, my grandfather in Seco was the doctor with the hospital. That's cool.
All right. That's cool. We got the expert there.
Yeah. Rendezvous 1203 says, it's fascinating hearing Elizabeth and Sweet Tater discuss the demographics and all the aspects of their area. I asked my husband if he had ever been in a holler, and although we live in a city, let me get down here to the rest of it. I think I missed it. I am only about 5 hours away from there, but closer to Northern Virginia and D.C. Okay, yeah, we're right on the Virginia line. But that's Northwest Virginia, though, ain't it, Mom?
Yeah, it's Western Virginia.
It's Northwestern Virginia where we are.
Well, I don't know if you'd call it. I think it's Southwest because Virginia sticks out there, you know. And
okay.
And that we're at the sticking out part.
Gotcha. We're like 5 minutes from the Virginia line, so it doesn't take us no time to just drive right on over to Norton and go to the big Walmart. They've got a super Walmart.
We got a Lowe's too.
We don't have a super Walmart in Whitesburg.
Or a Lowe's.
Or a Lowe's, that's right.
Yeah. They got Mexican and Chinese restaurants. Mm-hmm. They just got it all over there.
They do. Beach Bum became a member. Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations. Tracy says graduated in 1990. Haven't worked the past 20 years in criminal J. Yep. Okay, the song Foggy Mountain Breakdown would go well with this case. I used to sing a little bit. There we go, Beach Bum.
If I was on some foggy mountain top, I'd sail away to the west.
There you go, honey. There you go. The prosecution has to turn everything they get from the investigation to the defense. Wonder if photos and video are just from the video of the event and crime scene. I don't think so. I'm thinking those are videos from their phone dumps. Those are anything that would be on any of those phones. Any computers that they had dumped. That's where I think all that stuff came from, but I could be wrong. Let's see. There was something else up here I wanted to read. Elizabeth, you are exactly right. Personal injury attorneys are excellent investigators. Great point. I have to oppose them every day. Yeah, they would be very, very good investigators. All right. Let's see. Wanda Davis. There's something odd about how his wife keeps looking at him and like he's reading something. Well, I bet they had notes. Wouldn't you? I would. I have such a bad memory. If I don't write something down in a note, I'm one of those people that need a planner.
Whose wife are we talking about? I think the woman on the right.
Yeah, that's who I think they're talking about.
Well, whose wife is she?
She's the lawyer. They're married lawyers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now I get it. I got lost there somehow. And she's looking at him while he's reading that. Yeah. Somehow I was thinking that no, I was crazy, okay?
That's all right. That's all right. Let's see. Ashley Short. My grandmother has had 2 kids at home and traveled to Lexington or Virginia for any medical care in the 40s and the 50s.
Yep.
Dr. Wright was the one who delivered me, she said.
Oh, looky here. We're getting people all connected.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a lot of people that are local. We have a lot of local people who watch this show and interact and participate in our chat. So
the vibe of this town resonates.
There you
Does that
go.
mean us? Letcher County or Whitesburg?
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of little towns in Letcher County, and everybody's kind of divided. Like you've got the ones who live in Neon, and then you've got some who live in Jenkins, and then you've got some who live in Isom, some that live in Whitesburg. You've got all these little towns, and there's a whole bunch more little towns.
And they were all coal towns.
Yep, they were all
built by the coal, built by the coal mines. All of these down here in this part where Elizabeth and I are. Well, I guess most of Letcher County's that way.
Cecilia Boggs, Dr. Akers was in McRobert's mom.
I think he was.
Yeah, Dr. Acker. I think it's Acker, really.
But I think that's how people around here said it was Acker.
Yeah,
that's how they said it.
Dr. Acker lived right down the street from where my mommy lives right now. And he is the doctor who, there were 3 men who broke into his home and they unalived his daughter, and they were robbing him. And they unalived the daughter, and they tried to unalive Dr. Acker, but he ended up living through the attack. And then whenever they left, they had Dr. Acker was known apparently that he didn't trust banks, so he kept all of his money in a safe or something like that at his house.
He did. He had a safe in the wall, and that's where he kept his money. And I always thought it was to not have to pay taxes.
Well, I'm sure that probably.
He had millions in his safe.
And people knew it. The people knew it. And so the 3 men left, and they went on to red rum several more people. There were like maybe 6 people, I think, is altogether that they red rummed. And they were from here, like all the way to like Florida or something like that. I have a whole thing for us to look at on the Dr. Acker case. We just haven't gotten there yet. I swear we could do 2 shows a day every single day, and we would have enough material to do it. Let's see. My mommy and daddy are from Paintsville, Kentucky.
All righty. That's just right up the road there.
Yeah. Dr. Ackers was in a White House in McRoberts many years ago. Oh, Kay Kraft says I was wrong. It was Dr. Collier. Francis Adams was the RN. Awesome. Dr. B.F. Wright, Dr. Inseco. Okay.
Cool.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Always a Walmart. My Rodis chicks little bit and brother started to howl. So awesome. We love you guys. Thank you.
Well, that was a compliment if I can get the dogs to howl.
That's exactly right. That is the compliment.
You're making an impression on somebody.
That's right. That's right. Hey, it's all in fun anyway. Make a joyful noise, y'all. Make a joyful noise. Kentucky became the second in the U.S. to bar imposing the DP on defendants diagnosed as severely mentally ill in 2022. Thank you for that. That is wonderful. Hillbilly has an international membership. Yay!
Oh.
Well, and let me go ahead and do that real quick. I want to holler out a couple shout outs. I want to give a shout out. Tracy, thank you. She just sent me $15. Miss Tiffany sent me 25 yesterday. Janice sent me 20 on Wednesday. And I think I hollered you out, shouted you out, Miss Mary. On Tuesday, she sent me $50. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to give a couple member shout outs because we have a couple MVPs and we don't have many of those. And so I want to give a shout out to WX, joined 2 days ago. They're a Hillbilly MVP. That's the highest of our memberships. Stacy Turner, Hillbilly MVP, joined 16 days ago. And if I miss any of you, please tell me. And I will absolutely give you another shout out or give you a shout out. I think that is all that I found on there for MVP. Let me just double check. WX. And Stacy Turner. I was thinking there were 3 of them on there. I'll have to go look and make sure. But thank you all so much for your support and just coming and being here with our shows every night. I think we lost Zelmy. She took off, didn't she? Well, I wasn't looking. Sheesh. She gets gone quick, y'all. She must have thought I was done. All right. Let's see. See you later says some of coal miner's daughter was filmed in Dr. Acker's office when she found out she was expecting. I didn't know that. I knew that they had filmed over in Eola at that little store. There's a little store there. And that was in the movie. And my ex, actually, the guitar player, whenever they came into Letcher County to film the movie, James Wiley Craft was, I don't know if he was, I don't know what his official title was back in those days, but he was a main player in Letcher County. He was once the prosecutor. He was also the mayor. His son is now our circuit court judge, and who also was a defense attorney before he became the judge. But James Wiley Craft got my ex's and his little band together. He was apparently a prodigy, a guitar playing prodigy when he was young. And at 13 years old, they played for the cast and all of them of the movie. They were here, I guess, like maybe a week or longer, and they played for them all the time. I reckon they've got pictures. I've seen pictures of them down there. But apparently that was a very fun time. I wish I would have been here when all that was going on. Just a reminder to hit that like and subscribe button. It's free. Absolutely. My 2 sons, okay. Dr. Acker kept them healthy. Okay. Well, y'all, I think we are done. How do the memberships work? I think I need to renew. It should, does anybody else know? I think it will renew like every month. It should, I don't know if it auto renews. I don't think you have to renew it every month. I think it'll just auto renew. But if anybody knows, reach out, let June know. And it automatically renews. Thank you, Crystal. So you should be okay, Miss June. It should automatically renew unless you cancel it. Beach Bum says it renews auto for them. So there you go. All right, y'all. Well, it is almost midnight and I am worn out. It's been a long day. But can you take the court picture down so we can see y'all better? Oh, I'm sorry. But we're all done anyway, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your night. Sorry, Victoria Roman Carter. Love dogs, but please mute the mic when the dog's barking. It's distracting and gives some of us headache. Love you, show. Well, one of the reasons why I don't hit that button on Mommy's when it does is every time we do, it cuts like the entire mic off for all of us. And if we're watching something, the sound goes out. We've had that happen several times. So I'm sorry, honey. We've all got house full of dogs. 2 housefuls of dogs. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. I don't think we have any ball games tomorrow, so 7 p.m. Okay. I'll see you then. Stay warm, stay blessed, and we'll see you then, okay? Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.